Dear friends, welcome to worship. As you join with us as part of the Ashburton Baptist Church community, it is our prayer that you experience something of the peace, comfort, and presence of God. No matter who you are, where you are from, where you are going, and what is happening in your life, may the presence of Christ be real to you today. Despite the sadness, uncertainty, and complexity that is life in our pandemic-impacted world, there is still much to be thankful for. There is still beauty and inspiration all around us. As the trees change, there is the colour of autumn. There is the inspirational love and compassion shown by so many during this time of crisis. There is the kindness of others, shown through a small deed or a warm smile. Many of us reflect today on our mothers. Let us give thanks for those who have mothered us in some way, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Above all, let us be grateful for the parent-like love of God, expressed to us in so many ways, especially through God's Son, Jesus.
Bless the Lord, O my soul, O my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, O my soul, I'll worship your holy name. The sun comes up, it's a new day dawning. It's time to sing your song again. Whatever may pass and whatever lies before me, let me be singing when the evening comes. Bless the Lord, O my soul, O my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, O my soul, I'll worship your holy name. You're rich in love and you're slow to anger. Your name is great and your heart is kind. For all your goodness I will keep on singing. 10,000 reasons for my heart to find. Bless the Lord, O my soul, O my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, O my soul, I'll worship your holy name. And on that day when my strength is failing, the end draws near and my time has come, still my soul will sing your praise unending. 10,000 years and then forevermore. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul. I'll worship Your holy name. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul. I'll worship Your holy name. I'll worship Your holy name. I'll worship Your holy name.
Reading is from Isaiah 40, 28 to 31 in the NIV. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the Creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary, and His understanding no one can fathom. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint.
Hi, over the last number of years we've been focusing on missions during the month of May, and we're going to try and do the same this month. And I know that a number of folk that ABC has supported over the years, and we're going to try and, by way of interview and video clip, to focus on each one of those over the next few weeks. And this week we're focusing on the Maranatha mission in Uganda that Gary Hodge has been involved with. And we're going to put some information up about that you'll be able to see, and there'll be other resources that are posted as well that you'll be able to access. So we hope you enjoy it.
Hello everyone at Ashburton Baptist Church. My name is Kim Finlay, this is my husband Michael, and we are the founders of an organisation called Maranatha Health. So thank you for giving us some of your time today for us to share a little bit about who we are and what we do as an organisation. So we are a not-for-profit that is based in both Australia and Uganda. And in case you don't know, Maranatha Health is a Hebrew word that means "Come Lord Jesus." And really the work and the vision of Maranatha Health is driven by the example of Jesus and the upside-down kingdom that He was bringing about.
So Maranatha Health was established just over 10 years ago now, and our dream is that every child in Uganda should have access to high-quality, compassionate healthcare, and that every individual should be empowered to make healthy choices so that their own households and families can thrive. Certainly we find ourselves in a very strange time at the moment, and we'd love to be there with you in person, and obviously circumstances aren't allowing that currently. And it's fair to say that in Uganda things are not happening as normally. The Uganda government has imposed quite a strict lockdown to limit the spread of coronavirus. And whilst that's been certainly effective, it's also meant that it's been very difficult for people to access transport and specifically to access things like healthcare. Just as an example, we had a young boy called Ivan who arrived at our clinic a couple of weeks ago during the lockdown. His parents had found it very hard to get transport for him to come, so he'd had to get a letter from his local official and then look for a motorcycle taxi, of which there are very few operating at the moment, and then was stopped multiple times along the way by police and others to check that he did have documentation to allow him to travel. Fortunately, he reached the clinic, received the care that he needed, the high quality compassionate care that we offer at Maranatha Health, and within a few days he was much better and ready to go home. And his mother, as well as being very grateful for the care that was offered, she did note that she saw how children at Maranatha were treated in a really special way.
So while the Ugandan government is focused almost exclusively on COVID-19 responsiveness as a health system, Maranatha Health will continue to fight to ensure thousands of children get the life-saving, essential medical care that they need now and into the future. As always, we are taking the time as an organisation to assess the situation, to listen to the community and see where the gaps are, and then come up with creative solutions to ensure people are accessing healthcare. At the moment, that looks like innovative new ways to do referrals and transport systems in the community, and also advocating behind the scenes to government to ensure people are able to access those referral networks. But I guess the challenges of a pandemic and an economic recession will fall unfavourably on the poor in this world, and those are the people that we are serving day in and day out at Maranatha. That's what we're passionate about doing.
So we'd love for you to join with us in supporting the people of Uganda. So there's a couple of different ways you can do that. One, at the end of this financial year, we'd love to invite you to make a tax-deductible donation to us. We do need those to continue our work, and we're really grateful for the money that Ashburton as a church has already contributed towards us. We'd also love for you to join us in prayer as well, for our staff, for the patients that attend us, for the people in our region as they deal with this very difficult situation. So thanks again for your time today. Thanks so much for your support, particularly to Gary, who's a wonderful board member of ours over there. And before we go today, we'd just like to leave you with a video to let you know a little bit more about who we are and what we do. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
This little pink Beatrix Potter quilt is for Fleur, new baby daughter for Shelley Naylor and Luke Van Gryken, and a baby sister for Stephen. We'll tie the knots on your behalf, and we ask that you pray for this family and welcome her to the world.
Hi, I wanted to introduce you to our friend Linton Allen, who's going to be with us this morning for our service. Linton is an ordained minister and he's also an artist. We've known each other for a number of years, and so he's a good friend and has a good story to tell, so I hope you enjoy it.
Good morning, Linton here, and welcome to a different style of presentation, but let me introduce myself very briefly. I am actually a Baptist minister by training, but for the last 30 odd years I have engaged in a specialised ministry using visual art and storytelling and travelling around Australia, engaging with people from all walks of life. And it's my privilege to be here at Ashburton Baptist to reflect on a very special day, Mother's Day. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to reach through the technology and I'm going to do a portrait of you as you watch. It'll be just of your head and shoulders, and I'm going to be throwing out a few little tips about doing some art. If you'd like to just watch and listen, you might be able to, or you might be inspired to do something later on. I'm going to also throw out a challenge, and that is to see if you can keep up with me and count how many colours I use in this painting, because for me, colour is everything. It is what breathes life into an artwork. For those who are a little bit challenged in counting, like I am, this is number one. So I'm going to just start with putting down a basic shape, and I'll use a little bit of this ochre to just create that shape, and I'm starting to do what we call a profile, which means I'm just looking at you side on, and because of time I'm only going to do, as I said, your head and your shoulders. So that kind of gets me into the painting. And then if you've already forgotten, this is number 2. It should pick up. This is going to just start adding layers of colour. And as I do this, I like to just reference a number of, well, one in fact, artist who for me has been the inspiration to just relaxing and being bold and having fun with colour. His name, we'll go for this one here, his name of course, it was Vincent van Gogh, or Vincent van Gogh. And Vincent, even though he had a short tragic life, produced paintings that stunned the world initially. They just didn't quite understand. It wasn't how you were supposed to paint, because when he did portraits, which were usually of his friends or the people that he hung out with, he used colours like reds and yellows and oranges and blues and purples. And the art world would look at that and say, that's not what you're supposed to use. But then they realised, but it was the colour and the way that he placed it onto his art just energised his paintings. And so I'm going to use some of those colours. So we've used some brown and some orange, and now we'll go for a little bit of red. And just still on Vincent van Gogh, as you think about his life, I'll throw out a question here. How many paintings do you think he sold in his lifetime? He probably painted around about 400 different pieces. Sadly, he only sold one. Such is the hard road that artists walk down. His brother, Theo, would buy most of his art, and that was his brother's way of supporting him and to help him, buy supplies and to live. But it was only after he died that people started to realise what a genius that Vincent was in his art. And so if you have one of his paintings hanging on the wall, you've probably got one that will get you through your retirement years. It's worth around about probably $30 to $50 million just for one painting. Let's move to some of those blues. I'll go for a bit of nice, beautiful blue here. This is where the eye is going to sit. And just bring it down here. We'll go for some purple. And then I'm going to just have a look at the colour of your eyes. And we will work on those finer details of the face. So the colour of your eyes are orange, I can see. So let's go for, we'll just put a little bit of orange here to top of the hair there to match your eyes. Now the eye is the most important part of the face, and so I'm going to spend just a little bit more time. We'll go for a little bit of fluorescent orange here, just to bring it to life. Put a little bit of pink around the eye, or in fact this will be the eyebrow up here. We'll go a little bit for the eye, lids around there, and for the centre of the eye I'm going to use what will look like black, but it's actually a very dark purple. So I'll just put that around there. And every eye needs to have that little bit of light in it, so I'll just put that touch of light in the eye. And then we come to your nose, and I'd like you just to turn sort of side on so I can just see that nose. Yes, it's a classic beak as we call it. Not quite, it's a beautiful looking nose, but I'm going to do it in 2 parts. So we'll do the first little bit here, and just bring this around. This is what we call the base of the nose. And then for the rest of it, we'll just get the shape of it. We'll just put the rest of it out like this, and bring it back and block it in with a bit of light purple there. Just put that bottom lip on, and then we've got just a few more colours to put in. We'll just go for a bit of brown here. We'll go for now a little bit of lippy, just to give you that nice smile. And then we're down to the last bits and pieces. This is what I call the finer detail. We'll go for the nose hole around about there. We'll just put that in. Just give you a bit of an attitude, give you a bit of a glare. And just darken this area off here. Bring it around. And then we'll put a little bit of highlight And we're going to just imagine that there's a bit of wind blowing softly through the room here, and so we will just tease your hair out a bit and just give it a bit of what we call action, a bit of movement in the painting. And this is where I can sign off, and hopefully you are seeing yourself in a way that you've probably never seen yourself before. And I do apologise if you were expecting something that looks like you in the mirror, but this is quite different. I do like to have a little bit of fun with my art, and this is a way of kind of giving you a bit of an eye of how I do my presentations. But it also allows me to introduce two themes I'm going to briefly explore for Mother's Day. The first one is I really love the world of nature. It's where I get my inspiration from, and I really do see it as God's first Bible. As I look around, I just can't help but see in the wonder and the beauty and the way it all just holds together something of God's presence and His creativity and God's even character there. And so I get a lot of my ideas from what I see and try to observe. And I have chosen to paint you as, of course, not as you really look. And before I do forget, I usually do, but did you count how many colours I ended up using? If you got around about 20, 21, that's probably it. Even I forget how many I use exactly, but that's around about what it is. But I have painted you as the Australia's most majestic bird. This bird flies higher than any other. It is our wedge-tailed eagle. And so I'm going to just do one in flight over here. The wedge-tailed eagle, as I said, is one of those amazing birds that we have, and I just love when I see, if I'm travelling in the outback and I'm looking up in the sky and see them circling, I often stop and just watch them as they gracefully rise up in those and soar up in those heights that they can reach. Only they can do that them alone, out of all the birds in the bird kingdom. But as I watch them, I also, this is the second thing, whatever it is I'm looking at, whether it is trees, whether it is clouds, whether it is birds in the sky, I try to think a little bit more deeper about it. And it's from that perspective that I often get a sense that God is kind of just whispering to me. Now, I'm not hearing any audible voices, but I get thoughts and I get ideas that provide sometimes an idea of how I can understand myself a little bit better and also understand the relationship that we have with God. Let me give you an example of two thoughts that I've had as I've watched the wedge-tailed eagles flying in the sky. The first one is, and I am now thinking of when the eagles have built a nest in the sky, in a tall tree somewhere, and they are raising their family, those little chicks. They are extremely caring and protective. You don't go near any nest when there's chicks there. Those parent eagles will bring food to them. They will watch them actually. They grow, lose their fluffy down, and then grow that first set of feathers where they can eventually leave the nest. But that first attempt to fly is a dangerous one for those little eagles, because they're so high up. They don't climb down the tree and sort of start running off from the ground. They have to leap out of that nest, and from that moment have to try to navigate the wind currents and how to fly like an eagle, and that can be dangerous. And so I can understand quite well why young eagles, when they get to that point, it's really hard for them to leave the nest. They're usually at the edge, sort of looking over, but they're hanging on for dear life. And you know how they leave the nest? It's usually the mother eagle who will come up behind them and kick them out. And out they go. And I know some mothers here are saying, I wish I could do that with my fledglings at the moment. They need to leave the nest. But that's for another talk. But what I would like to quickly say is that they don't just kick them out and abandon them. The mother eagle's also out of the nest, and she's hovering above them, and there's a lot of communication going on in eagle speak. I'm not sure what they say exactly, but relax, lift your wingtips up, come over this way. And she's watching them, and if they get into any kind of trouble, she will quickly go underneath them and pick them up on her back and take them back to the nest, have a bit of a debrief, and then she kicks them out again. And for me, that is a way. It's not the only way, but for me, it's a way of thinking about just the incredible role that mothers have in our lives. From the moment we enter this world, it is the mother who is primarily there to care for us, to nurture us, to inspire us, to look at us and see the potential of what we could become. And that involves sometimes a lot of tough love, and it's the mother who's often pushing us and nudging us to learn more, to believe more, to become more. And sometimes, even when we do eventually leave the home and the nest, the mother eagle does not give up on us, whether she's thinking about us, praying for us, communicating, but always there to help us, even when there's moments of trouble. It is a home we know we can come back to and be welcomed. And so I'd like to just acknowledge the role that mothers have in our lives, and this is the time that we can express in different ways and say a big thank you. But it's also, when I have thought about this, a way of thinking about God's love for us. It is like a mother's love. And there's different ways of, again, thinking about God's love, but it is all surrounding, all encompassing. It is nurturing, protective, and it is God who also is the one nudging us to become more, to become who God believes that we could become. And my last thought is this, and that is that obviously, as I have tried to draw here around the eagles need something under their wings to lift them up to those incredible heights. They can't fly high in their own strength. They don't have the ability to do that. They need to be inside what we call a thermal. And as the hot air rises off from the ground and it's spiralling upwards, the eagle learns to get into the centre of that thermal and to relax and to let the power of that thermal lift them up. And they can stay up there for hours without exerting unnecessary energy, and they can let that thermal be their, uplift, or the power that lifts them up. And so for me, I think of as the wind is to the eagle, so God, or God's Spirit, is to our soul. And it is God who wants to lift us up, to be more than what we can be ourselves. It is God alone who's able to energise us, to fill us, and to inspire us to become all that we're meant to be. And so again, I want to finish with a reading which you might have already seen online, but it's one of my favourites, and it's found in Isaiah chapter 40. And in the context of this passage, we have God making this promise to his people who are dejected, they're depressed, they're feeling uninspired to leave the place where they are, which is in Babylon as captives, which is not where they're meant to be. God has a vision for them to be back in their homeland, in the promised land. But they can't do it themselves. And he says, do not despair. Take courage, because I will be the one to lead you out and to guide you. And we have that famous passage, and I'll just read the last bit of Isaiah 40. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary, and his understanding no one can fathom. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in, and that's an active hope, it's a trust, a complete resting in God and God's promises. But for those who hope in the Lord, they will renew their strength, and they will soar on wings like eagles, and they will run and not grow weary, and they will walk and not be faint. Thank you very much.
thank you for worshipping with us. This week, may the love of God be tangible and real in your life, and may you have an opportunity to share that love with someone else around you. Go in peace in the name of Christ. Amen.